Welcome to the Red Wagon Estate Planning and Elder Law Show, hosted by me, yours truly, Jeffrey Belomo, where we discuss all things estate planning and elder law. And, well, hey, anything else we want to talk about. Now, this episode is going to fall squarely under estate planning and elder law, as we are going to be talking about estate disposition. And, of course, you know that is near and dear to my heart. I have a dear friend of mine here today, Kasey King. Kasey, how you doing? Thank you. I'm so excited for this one. We are going to have a lot of fun. I know it even before it starts. I know Kasey pretty well, and every time I'm around her, I have so much energy. I leave every conversation excited, and those are the type of people that you want to be around. So I have no doubt that you're going to enjoy the podcast today. Kasey is with Bodacious Properties, LLC, and so we're going to be talking all about that today as well. So before we get into that, my listeners know what we always do first, which is our little disclaimer. You should not take what you hear from this show, or any other show for that matter, to constitute legal advice. If you are looking for legal advice, please call an attorney licensed in the state that you reside in, who is practicing in the type of practice of law that you're looking for advice in. And after you meet with them and you discuss the facts of your situation, then and only then should you constitute that to constitute legal advice. This show should be looked at for informational, educational, and entertainment purposes. Now, you might pick up on a few things here and there, but as it relates to your specific fact pattern, you're going to want to make sure you contact an attorney licensed in the state that you reside in before you do that. Speaking of, if you're looking for any type of educational information as it relates to estate planning and elder law, at Belomo and Associates, we educate. So what happened to my family does not happen to yours. We offer free educational workshops in the areas of pre-planning or estate planning, Medicaid crisis planning, life care planning, special needs planning, and post-death administration. So if you're looking for educational information in regards to those areas, we've got you covered with the free education. And we will, of course, tell you the pricing up front, the pros, the cons, the goods, the bads, the uglies, and then you get to decide if you would like to work with our firm or not. So if you're looking for more information in regards to the educational workshops at our office, please check us out on the web at www.belomoassociates.com. That is B as in boy, ELLOMO, associates spelled out with an S.com, or give us a call at 717-845-5390. That's 717-845-5390. All right. So, Kasey, wow, I'm excited. Give me a little bit of information for my listeners about who you are and what you do for a living.
I love that. My name is Kasey King. I reside here in South Central Pennsylvania. My background before I got into real estate is kind of funny. I say I grew up in the world of manufacturing. That's what we have here in South Central Pennsylvania. So I was in continuous improvement and data analytics. Loved my job, loved the work that I did, but knew that I was capable of more per se. So I do a lot of reading, and I read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. And that is kind of the book that started my launch with real estate. Yeah. So I decided from there that that was going to be my retirement plan. I'm going to have a rental portfolio and in my retirement. So, being the planner that I am, I decided that I was going to do like a fix and flip to get that capital needed in order to put for a down payment on a multi-family property. And keep in mind, at that point in my life, at that season, I knew absolutely nothing about real estate.
Oh,
Again, world of manufacturing, know nothing about real estate. So I put a property under contract for what I thought was a good, deal. Again, not really knowing what I was doing, and that deal went sideways real quick. Yeah,
oh no.
it was not pretty. Luckily, I was able to back out and get my deposit back, and no harm, no foul. But what happened was the negative mindset. I did the negative self talk, a bit of a spiral. Who do I think I am? I can't believe, like, I don't know anything about real estate. What am I trying to do? And then again, I do a lot of reading in the self-development world. So I was reading a book by Harv Eker, and he explained in there that you shouldn't start a business without ever working in the business. If you're going to open up a restaurant, you should have worked in a restaurant before. You should know what it looks like. So I thought, okay, how can I work in real estate to learn the business and, without really losing a lot? So that's when I decided to get my license, and I became a licensed real estate agent. And for my first year of being a real estate agent, I still worked a full-time job, my corporate job.
Wow.
Still did that. But I also worked, I say full time as a real estate agent because I gave up all of my nights and all of my weekends, and I just hustled hard for
Oh,
that first year. And after that, that was 2021. So then after that, 2022, I was like, I can do this.
wow.
I proved to myself that I can do it while working a full time job and support myself. So I left my corporate job, and I've been in real estate full time ever since. So that's kind of the how I got into it. Now for Bodacious Properties, kind of a funny story. So again, I wanted to do fix and flips, and a lot of real estate investors in our market do like what we call lipstick on a peg. They might just paint walls and add carpet and say, "Yep, this is a great house." But for me, I want it to make a safe home, and I call my homes my product. So I
Hmm.
wanted a product that I would be comfortable with my own parents living in and feel like it was safe and secured. And I always do home inspections prior to handing it off to the new owner so that they know like everything that could potentially be wrong with it, we've taken care of for them.
Oh, wow.
So they know that they're getting, a good product at the end of the day.
Wow. And are you from this area as well originally?
Yeah, originally from
Wow.
County,
No way. Oh, wow.
yeah. Uh, yep. I right now I say I service all of York, Adams, and Cumberland County. That's my
Okay.
yeah.
All right. I have a question because I'm very naive when it comes to manufacturing. Probably a lot of my listeners are as well. And I might not even get this part right because I'm doing it from memory. But what is continuous logistics and improvement data? Did I say that right?
Continuous improvement and data analytics.
I was close.
Yeah, you were. So continuous improvement is exactly what it sounds like. We are here today, but we want to get to X, right? And what is that? That could be reduce waste. It could be
Oh,
hours. It could be somehow inputting more production so that you can increase your sales, whatever that is. And then bridging the gap between the two, bridging the gap from where we are today and where we want to be tomorrow. How do we execute? What needs to happen? And then a little bit of project management to actually execute on those roles. The data analytics come in. It's kind of funny, but it's looking at numbers and being able to tell a story based off of what the numbers tell you. A lot of
wow.
groups, like it just it's too much. It's really nerdy and geeky to really do a deep dive into the numbers and see trends that maybe most people would just overlook. You'd be like, I don't know. Trends? What do you mean? Like, well, how do you know where you're going to be in a month from now or 2 months from now? I don't.
Yeah.
So that's where the analytics comes into play.
I never knew that's what it was called. I didn't necessarily know anything about it until our CFO, who is a CPA and kind of just financial by nature and by background. She started with us, and then she started coming to me and saying, "Okay, well, I think in 3 months we're going to be here, and in 2 months we're going to have this issue." And I'm like, "What?" And sure enough, it was as if she saw it. I mean, she did see it coming, right? The numbers told her everything, but I was not a person who understood that. And it is crazy what you could do with that information. I mean, nuts.
Yeah.
Wow. So you may have said this, but so going from that, I mean, you read the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which is a phenomenal book. I imagine you weren't laying around as a kid going, I want to invest in real estate someday. There's a lot of businesses that you could have owned. There's a lot of things you could have gone into. What was the reason it was real estate? I'm just curious.
Yeah. So that is a great question. I You think back to what you want it to be when you were a kid. Some people want it to be a firefighter, some people want it to be a police officer. And this is going to sound so silly. I want it to be a home inspector. So my mother was a single mom, and we lived in an apartment complex. And I don't remember the frequency, if it was bi-monthly or maybe it was like every quarter, once a quarter, an inspector would come through and just make sure that there's like no safety hazards, like there's no cracked window panes or tripping hazards or things of that nature going on in the apartment. And I remember telling my mother when I must have been 8 years old at the time, wouldn't it be cool to go through and inspect homes and see how everybody has their furniture laid out and like see what color they're painting their walls? Like that was a legit thing that I told my mom.
Wow.
Who I wanted to be an inspector so that I could see how people were decorating their homes.
Wow. I was too busy playing with G.I. Joe figures.
It's funny looking back. Like at the time, my mother was like, "Well, that's a silly thing to want to be. You want to be an attorney or you want to be a doctor. You don't want to be a home inspector." And I was like, "Oh, okay, I think I do though." But then in my early 20s, that's when HGTV and
Oh,
TV
yeah.
show, or not the show, the network TLC was really kicking off with like interior design shows. And my family and I, it was actually my aunt and my grandmother, we decided to form a company with the intention of flipping homes, which is looking back again a little silly because we didn't know anything about real estate. We're just watching these shows on TV and being like, I think we can do that. And we did form an LLC, but we didn't do anything with it at the time. So it wasn't until I was in my mid 30s and read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, where I was like, you know what, this is something I've always had an interest in, but never actually pursued. I think it's time. Makes sense.
Wow. And as far as now, I know earlier we were talking a little bit about estate disposition as being kind of one of the main things, but how do you, well, two things. How do you get your clients and how do most of them come to you? And what does that mean for the average consumer who doesn't really know the terms as well? What would you say that is?
Yeah. So I'm going to start with a little backstory on how I got into this. So again, I already told you that I got my license and I call that my retail work. So
Okay.
when I've helped buyers and sellers on the market. That's my retail work. And it was, what year was that? I don't remember. It was early on. I came across a family that were replacing their mother. She was living by herself,
Oh,
but it was a terrible story. She was actually fell down and was on the ground for over a day until they came in and
oh no.
it was okay-ish. She wasn't, terribly like it wasn't a terrible, terrible thing. She made it through okay, but they were putting her in assisted living and they didn't want her to be alone anymore for obvious reason. Um, but the family lived out of state. So I sent them a letter in the mail a year or so prior to that when her husband passed away, dad passed away. He entered into they opened up probate. And I sent them a letter of my services and how I could potentially help if they needed it. They could reach out, and they kept my letter because they didn't need my services at the time, but they thought, well, if the day ever comes, it would be nice to have that available. So they kept my letter, and then when they were placing mom into assisted living, that's when I got the call, and they explained the situation, and they're like, we live out of state. The house needs cleaned out. The only thing she's taking with her is a recliner and a TV, and I think one dresser. But other than that, there was 45 years worth of stuff. Furniture, clothing, all of the houseware, items, pots, pans, dishware, Christmas decorations galore. She loved Christmas and she had Christmas decorations in every single closet of the house. And the family was like, we don't know what to do. Like, there's no way we don't have the time or the resources to be able to clean this house out to prep it for sale. So after the family went through and got what they wanted as far as valuables or memorabilia, after they said, "Okay, the rest is yours," I decided to take that on for them, just because they wouldn't be able to do it if they did it alone. So I just gave them the option. Hey, I can clean it out for you. I try to donate as much as possible. Anything that's reusable, I try to donate back to the community. There's a lot of safe housing, a lot of places where women are transitioning from abusive relationships into their own housing, so they need furniture, and bedding, and even clothing comes into play.
Wow,
So
that's amazing.
yeah, so I do try to donate as much as possible back to the community. Anything that is not reusable, my company will have disposed of, and I do a deep clean prior to marketing it for sale. And then during the sale, if any repairs come up, so a lot of times when buyers are doing their own home inspection, or maybe even the appraiser for their lender walks through, they might call out repairs that need to take place before we can get to the closing table. So my team will handle that. So I try to make it as hassle free as possible to the family. And at the time, I actually had two of very similar situations back to back. So that one, she was downsizing into assistant living. The other one, it was actually sadly the parents passed away. So the adult parent,
Oh,
who also did not live in the area, just needed that extra assistance to prepping the property. And that's when I realized that there's a real need for this service. Like these poor people that don't know about my service and don't know it's available, they just think that they have to go out on their own. And it's kind of sad. Sometimes I get calls after they've been trying to do it themselves. And literally it would be like a year or so. The house would be vacant for that long. And and people may not realize it, but when a property is vacant, it's not, at the same temperature as you would keep it a lot of times. And then you get into problems with pipes bursting throughout the winter. And you just get into different conditional issues with vacant homes. And it's sad. But then they call me and they're like, I wish I would have known that this service existed sooner so that I didn't have to go a full year spinning my wheels. Um, so anyway, that was a very long way of going about answering your question. And to be perfectly honest, I even forgot what the question was. I took so long answering it.
yeah. I was basically just asking real estate. Like, there's so many businesses in Rich Dad Poor Dad, like not businesses in that, but just meaning that you could do so much with that book. I'm just fascinated that it was real estate, and then you were talking about wanting to be an inspector, which is fascinating. I've never heard a kid say that before. That is the coolest thing ever.
I don't think my mom thought it was very cool, but
Oh, heck yeah, it did. Heck yeah. And have you ever considered doing anything else, or now that you're in it, you're like, no, I found my thing, and I'm going to just focus on this and do this well.
so now that I'm doing it, for sure, real estate is it for me. It's very rewarding. No 2 days are the same. Every home I go into, it's like an adventure. So now that I'm in it, I wouldn't consider doing anything else but real estate and real estate related things. But as a child, I did also tell my mother that I wanted to be a horse jockey, because that was the only profession I knew of where you would get paid to ride horses. So
That's true.
yeah, yeah,
That's right. And then you were also talking about, in terms of estate disposition, I think that was also a follow up question. And that's what you were answering as well, which was you were talking about your retail side and then kind of the different things that you do. And it sounds like you do everything from people moving into different phases of their life and helping them through that phase. Or if someone passes away, I'm sure you'd probably help with that part as well for the family.
yep, absolutely, yeah. It's really any phase. So the
Gotcha.
difference between Bodacious Properties and working with any real estate agent, most real estate agents, good ones anyway, will tell you what you need to prep the home for sale. They'll tell you you need to pack all this stuff up. You need to have it disposed of. You should paint this bright yellow wall a neutral color. You should, make needed repairs, that type of thing. But they're not going to do it for you.
Right.
So that's where Bodacious Properties comes in. I try to make everything as seamless and stress free as possible while communicating all throughout the way. So none of my clients ever feel like they're in the dark or they don't really know what's going on or where we are in the process. I keep them fully up to date with what's happening. So that's Bodacious Properties in a nutshell.
And do you typically get most of your referrals from former clients, from word of mouth, or is there a certain advertising area where you're working with that kind of works the best? Or how do you find most of your people?
It's a great question. It is mostly referral based. So mostly word of mouth through past clients. Just when they hear of somebody going through those situations, they'll say, "Hey, I know somebody that can help you out there." But I do also send for anybody that filed for probate. I do send them a letter of what services I offer if they need it. They can reach out. I also have a website, paestatesolutions.com, that sometimes people will find the website just through trying to do their own research of how to handle situations. So I'll get calls that way as well.
Oh, that's awesome. Very cool. That is really neat. You sort of mentioned one story already, which I thought was awesome. I love stories. I think that that's just a great way to talk about what you do. Um, is there any other stories that you have that kind of you think of a family? I mean, obviously without names, but that was just unique or that was very rewarding for you and you were kind of pleased on the back end?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So I would like to say that I am pleased with all of the families that I get to help. Every single one of them is very rewarding to be able to take a burden off somebody's shoulders and see that sigh of relief. But one in particular comes to mind. I got a call from the executress 9 days prior to the property going to sheriff's sale. Um,
Oh,
Yes. So her it was actually her friend. Her coworker passed away, and she appointed her to handle her estate. And because life happens, she wasn't able to actually fulfill her fiduciary to handle the estate for 2 years. So for 2 years, the property was vacant, and not to sound gross, but without water running, the gases will come up through the pipes and you have like a sewage smell in your house after a while. So for 2 years, all of the windows have been closed, the doors have been shut, and that sewage gas just emitting into the house. Uh,
oh,
yep, 9 days prior to going to a sheriff's sale, she reached out to me and asked how I could help. Whew, really wish she would have called sooner, but okay.
yeah.
So I got a hold of the appropriate parties. We were able to postpone the sheriff's sale. I My team came in, cleaned it out, and we were able to help with the odor, to help with that and get the home marketed and sold. And it did take oh longer than it normally would have, just because it was in foreclosure. So I had to work very closely with the mortgage attorneys, and make sure that they knew where we were within the process along with the executress. But we did eventually get to the closing table. It did not go to foreclosure. So that one, it was every month we weren't sure how it was going to end, because at some point the bank didn't want to work with us anymore. We had a point of contact that was great, that communicated well, and then we got a new point of contact from the lender, and that changed the dynamic of how things were communicated. And yeah, but it all worked out at the end, and the executress was happy, and the estate was taken care of. So that one put me through the ringer.
Yeah, that's a great story though. That's incredible. Did the smell go away eventually?
It um it became pretty faint. I don't
Okay.
didn't 100% go away. We have some tips and tricks on how to handle odors. But it definitely helped when you first walked in. When I first walked in, it was like getting punched in the face. It was so bad. It was one of those ones where when I got home, I had to like take my clothes off before I went in the house.
Oh,
Yeah. that happens sometimes, but yeah, it wasn't that bad. We helped it a lot.
Wow. Oh, that's crazy. So, I mean, you kind of mentioned there's a lot of it comes from word of mouth, but a lot of what we do, I think, is outside of what a lot of people know of, or it's not something they think about on a regular basis. How do you get the word out about what you do, maybe in an educational style, before people actually need it? I mean, when they need it, sometimes they're overwhelmed and they don't know where to go. But I've heard you come up in so many conversations, and I'm like, wow, Kasey does a really good job of kind of talking about it. How do you do that? How do you get that out there?
Yeah, a lot of networking, I'll say. And I don't approach when I'm having a conversation with somebody, I don't approach it like you yourself or you're going to need this service. I'm more of if you know of anybody, if you
Exactly.
know anybody, just
Yeah.
trying to get them to think like, when you're talking to your neighbor and your neighbor is telling you how we're going to have to put mom into assisted living and we're going to have to deal with the house, trying to teach people that hey, this service is available and it's out there. You don't have to go about it yourself. You don't have to go at it alone. We've got a whole team that are ready to help you.
That's amazing. Just because I'm really big into personal development and reading books, I don't find too many people that I can see that share that love. And I didn't know that about us, by the way. Any other books that kind of stand out or that have impacted sort of where you're at in your life or where you're going?
Yeah, Wallace D. Wattles is so he wrote think not think and grow the science of being well, the science of being great,
Oh,
and the science of being rich. And it's an older book. It was written over 100 years ago, so the verbiage is a little funny to listen to, but it still applies. It's applicable today, and for him, how he describes it is it's an exact science. This is the formula, and if you're following this formula, you can't help be great, and you can't help but be well. And the being well is like being healthy, being a healthy individual, and then of course being rich. Just follow these steps. It's an exact formula,
oh, wow.
and as long as you do this, you.
I'm not familiar with that one. I will definitely have to look that one up. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, Wallace D. Wattles. And Zig Ziglar is also a big
Yeah.
favorite of mine.
Yeah.
I totally live by service above self. I actually belong to my local Rotary Club, and that's our motto is service above self. And Zig Ziglar says you can get everything you want out of life as long as you help enough other people get what they want.
Yeah. I love that one. That's one of my favorites as well. One that I heard probably about a year ago. He's fairly new, especially compared to the one that you just mentioned being 100 years old. But Alex Hormozi, there's a book that he has out, $100 million offers. And the line in there that really stuck with me was provide so much value that people feel stupid saying no. And, I think that really changed my perspective of there's not a prop. People don't mind paying for things as long as there's value. And we try now. I've really changed my perspective since reading that, and it's worked so well. I mean, there's nothing wrong with giving so much value that people are like, "Why? I mean, it'd be crazy not to do this." And that really has helped because I love helping. I love doing things, and I think people get so hung up on you know cost. And I guess when you're in a business, you do have to make some money at some point, right? Or you're not going to be in business. But that really helped me to understand like just provide so much value, and it's really changed the way I look at everything now. Not how little can we do, but how much can we possibly do to give everything we possibly can. And I just love the mindset, and it's just a great thing. And like I said, he's fairly new. He was the one who did the gym launches, which was within the last few years, and he sold it for 150 million, I think, or something crazy. And then now all he does is buy businesses, build them up, and sell them. And just a great young thinking brain that has used all of the people that you and I kind of idolize and we think of, and he's kind of built it. And it's incredible to listen to him. And I love his books. And so, yeah, that's cool. Well, I knew when you and I got on here today, this was going to go fast. There was no doubt in my mind that 30 minutes was going to end before I even knew it. So, Kasey, thank you. One more time for the listeners. How could they learn more information about Bodacious Properties LLC if they were looking for you?
Absolutely. So my website is paestatesolutions.com. So feel free to visit the website. My direct line, is that okay to give that?
Sure.
Yeah, it's area code 717-345-3494. And that'll take you directly to me. If you have any questions that you aren't sure about, I can help answer them.
Awesome. Very, very cool. Thank you so much, Kasey. Thank you to my listeners for being here today. As always, I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to listen to the Red Wagon Estate Planning and Elder Law Show. Until next time, we'll see you real soon.